Hey, welcome to Redemption Springs. And we are getting ready for Thanksgiving. It's that time of year again. For Thanksgiving, we don't raise out traditional turkeys. We raise out a rare heritage bird called a bourbon red turkey. These are prized for their phenomenal rich flavor. They're a beautiful bird to look at. They're fun to raise. So this is what people will drive hours every year to come to our farm to pick up, because there's very few farms that actually raise these out. Would you like to go meet them? So these are our bourbon red turkeys. In the background, we keep them out with our meat birds. They get moved every day in these schooners. They get dragged down across the pasture. You can kind of see where they have been and then where they're heading to, and there's a pretty solid line right there you can see they've been on. So that way they get fresh grass. So this is a true free-range environment where they are on fresh grass every day, fresh bugs. They've got food and water accessible to them. But bourbon red turkeys are full flight birds. So they absolutely would fly away. When they get out, they'll get out sometimes and we'll find them in trees 50, 60 feet up in the air. So we have to keep them in these schooners just to keep them from flying the coop. But by moving them every day, they have access to fresh grass and fresh bugs every day. We keep their stocking densities in those schooners appropriate, that they're able to do a really good job eating all the grasses that are there. They also do a good job distributing their manure on the grasses, which is really good to grow their food for next year, and to grow the grasses for cattle and things like that. That's all part of the regenerative system. So the bourbon reds were created in the late 1800s. They were created to compete on a commercial market. Bourbon reds were selected for their superior flavor and meat quality, but they also grow fast enough to compete with a commercial bird. In the late 1800s, all the way up until like the 1940s, they were one of the premier meat birds because of their speed of growth and the fact they tasted so good. They were then overtaken by your standard turkey, the one that you've always eaten your whole life, and that is the broad-breasted white turkey. Those are very similar to the Cornish cross chicken, you know, your commercial chicken, in the fact that they just don't stop growing and they grow very, very fast. So a broad-breasted white can grow to full market weight in about 6 months. It takes our bourbon reds about 8 months to do the same thing. The broad-breasted whites will not stop growing. They just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. That's why you have heard of 50-pound turkeys, because they just keep growing. Eventually, they will outgrow their own organs. They'll have a heart attack and die. So they have a very limited lifespan, and they cannot mate naturally. The bourbon red, on the other hand, is its own breed. It'll breed naturally. You can keep it going year over year. So that's what we do. We have a completely separate flock of turkeys that is our breeder turkeys. So we keep them and we actually rebreed them, and that's how we get our Thanksgiving turkeys every year. So we actually have an entire separate flock of males and females specifically for breeding. And that way we can select better and better stock over time, get better weight growth, the flavor of the meat we can improve, the personality of the bird we can improve. These are all things that we select for. Because these birds stop growing at a particular weight, that means that we know roughly what weight they're going to be. We're not going to get up into your 30, 40, 50-pound birds. The males stop growing and will produce about a 15 to an 18-pound table bird, and the females will stop growing and produce about a 9 to 10-pound table bird. So when we open these up for reservation, when we sell them, those are the two different sizes you can select from. It's basically male and female. If you are a dark meat lover, the bourbon red is absolutely for you. The dark meat on these guys is amazing. And the reason for that is, unlike a commercial turkey that is mostly stationary, right? They're not moving very much. The bourbon reds are very, very active. They are a real bird. So they're moving around a lot. And because of all that activity, it's really brought flavor to that meat. It has toughened it up some. That's why you want to do the low and slow to break that down. But the flavor in that meat that's actually been used is just phenomenal. So we get asked, what's the difference in flavor between a bourbon red turkey and a commercial turkey that you get from most places? If you think about the flavor difference between a chicken and a turkey that you used to, eat that Thanksgiving turkey, it tastes amazing compared to what you're used to on a Wednesday night eating chicken dinner. That big difference in flavor is similar to the difference between a commercial turkey, a butterball that you're going to buy, and a bourbon red turkey. Just a huge flavor difference there. We know a lot of people who've tamed turkeys, who take them into their house, they'll dress them up, take them on walks. So if you take a turkey and you are hands-on, feeding it treats, spending time with it, it takes about a week, and that thing is as tame as a dog. It'll come right over to you and sit in your lap. They're really incredible animals that way. These are just beautiful birds. I'm looking at all that dark red on his face, all that blue. Of course, if you look at one that's displaying, you see it gets a lot bluer and a lot redder. We look at all that black barring on the top of each feather. That's a breed characteristic, and I see that all through this guy. So that looks really good. We're looking for this characteristic brown to white fade with a little strip of brown at the tip and then back to white at the very tip there. Looking at these big, beautiful white primary flight feathers. Just everything about this bird is beautiful. Some beautiful feet here, real big. You've got the beginnings of his spurs here. As he gets older, those will get a lot longer to use to protect his girls. But these huge feet, big claws that they use to scratch, to dig for grubs and worms and such. There's big brown eyes he's got. And you see his wattle changing there, moving. That's just blood flow, just pumps blood into that. They'll get really long when he's displaying, and then it shrinks back up when he's not displaying. Right here you can see his beard is what we call that. So that's a modified feather that comes out. As best we know, that's just a mating thing. Just the bigger his beard is, the more attractive he is to females. So that's relatively short right now because he's relatively young, but that'll grow out over the years, and that'll grow by a few inches a year and get to the point of being like a foot long in a few years. You can see him displaying here, beautiful display. You'll see him moving his tail from back and forth. He's on that to make himself appear larger to a particular directions. So he can pivot his tail to look bigger one way or the other. Tons of feathers all fluff out like that. You'll see his coloration. He's much bluer and much redder than a male that isn't currently displaying right now. Turkeys have a lot more vocalizations than chickens do. You'll hear that gentle peeping. They're talking to each other. You'll hear of course, the gobble that only the males make. There's some higher pitched distress signals. There is the, hey, come look, I found some food. They've got a lot of different vocalizations. So turkeys have really amazing personalities. Why didn't the turkey eat any more food? Because he was stuffed. We have people drive in from all over to get these turkeys. There's not many farms that raise out bourbon reds. So we've got people that come down from Philadelphia, New York City, way down in Virginia, driving 2 and 3 hours one way to pick up their Thanksgiving turkey. It's become a tradition for them. We have a big open house that we invite everybody to the Saturday before Thanksgiving. But it just really shows the superior quality of them because people are willing to do that trek every year to get their turkey for their family.